Welcome to Distracted. I'm Angela Lockwood. Thanks so much for joining me today. I have a conversation with you that I want to have. It came up on my morning walk just the other morning, as it always happens. If I'm out walking, often questions pop into my mind, and I think, I wonder what other people think about this. And this was one of them. The question was, do we keep ourselves stuck? And let me give you some context of what this is about. I often have clients that come to me, actually pretty much all the time, and they're feeling some level of being stuck in their lives. So it might be that they're feeling like they're not progressing in their goals, or it might be that they're working towards something and that they've hit a plateau, or it might be that they want to do something, but they don't know what the next best step is. So they basically feel stuck. Often, you might even feel this yourself sometimes, that the work that you're doing is not lighting you up, or the job that you're currently in is not where you see yourself long term. And so what we do is we find ourselves feeling very just stuck in a rut. I often liken it to your feet feeling like it's in concrete. Like you're standing there and you want to move, the rest of your body can move, but your feet are just stuck in the concrete. It feels like it doesn't matter what you do, you just can't move forward. And this level of feeling stuck is really, really frustrating. I've been there so many times in my life where I'm like, I feel so stuck. How do I get out of this? Do I need to talk to someone? Or, I've got all the strategies of what to do, but nonetheless, it still makes me feel sometimes like that my feet are well and truly stuck in that concrete. And there are times, I guess, when for me, actually, in particular, or what I do hear from people is this can feel overwhelming. So when feeling stuck, you can feel really overwhelmed because it feels like what you're working towards is just so far out of your reach that it feels like there's so many things you need to do in order to get there that you're not quite sure what the next step is, or you don't even know how to start. There's so many steps along the way. You're like, I don't even know what to do with this. Also, that feeling of overwhelm could also be a feeling of being deflated. So thinking, gosh, I should have all the answers. I should know what I'm doing. I tell other people how to do this. That often comes up for me. I've written books about decision making and switch off and find calm. And the moments where I'm feeling stuck, I feel like I really need to read my own book right now. In fact, sometimes I even say that I need to go and read my own book. It could be that sense too when you're feeling stuck of going almost like confusion. So you're thinking, I don't actually know what to do, and why can't I work this out? Or I've got all the things on board. I know exactly what I've got to do, but for some reason I just can't get going. And that feelings of failure often come up when people feel stuck, that, I should know what I'm doing. I should have the answers. Or it might be that sense of failure of going, but everybody else is doing this, this, and this. How come I'm not? That comparison can really be something that keeps us very, very stuck in our tracks. So it could be overwhelmed that we're feeling. It could be a sense of failure. It could be a sense of deflation. It could also be this sense of angst, of just sort of not knowing, this sort of being unsettled. That's probably a better word. Feeling really unsettled about going, where I am right now is not where I want to be. So how do I move out of this space and how do I move forward? But the question that I go back to that came up for me on my walk was, do we actually keep ourselves stuck? Because what often happens is it's really easy when we're feeling stuck in whatever way that looks like for us, that we can easily blame other people. We can blame our situation. It might be that, I can't because I've got little kids, or I can't because I live too far away. I can't because my husband is working long hours, or it might be I can't because my wife needs to, do something for herself, or I can't because I need to be there for my elderly parents, or it's often, I can't because of where I live, there's not the opportunities, or I can't. And often when we come up with these feelings of I can't, it's usually we're blaming something external to us. And a lot of times these things that we're blaming really can be quite legitimate. If you do have little kids, yeah, of course it's hard to do things than if you don't have kids. It could be that, yes, if your partner works really early in the morning till really late at night, yeah, that does restrict some of the things that you can do with your time. So some of it is quite legitimate, that there are external forces or external factors that might be keeping you in your current situation. And it might be, let's use another example, like a work that you're currently in a job that doesn't light you up, but it's paying really well. So it's funding your current goals. So you might be trying to save up to buy a house or to go on a holiday or to fund your children going to university. So you're feeling stuck because you're working so hard on those goals that you feel like you're not moving forward. And so there are legitimately a lot of external reasons why you could be feeling stuck. However, the question was, do we set ourselves up or do we keep ourselves stuck? And when I was thinking about this a little bit more, I thought there are so many times we keep ourselves stuck that there are legitimate reasons why we are in the situation we're in. But I see time and time again, particularly when clients come to me and I'm working with clients, where their behaviors, their habits, the decisions that they make are actually the things that are keeping them stuck. So there might be a presence of external things that are happening for them, but it's the decisions that they're making each and every day that are keeping them stuck. Now, in my first book, which was called The Power of Conscious Choice, I explore how we make decisions. And it's a really fascinating area to jump into, looking at how do we make those conscious decisions in the moment when it feels like so many things are out of our control. But this question of do we keep ourselves stuck, I want you to think about that now, right? Think of a goal that you are currently working towards. Or something that you're really trying hard to learn, or an area of your life that you're trying to develop. It could be that you're going back to study at university, and that's a big goal for you. Or it might be that you are training to do something physical. You might be doing the Kokoda challenge, or it might be that you're wanting to save money for something. It might be that you're wanting to build a business. It might be that you're wanting to integrate more artificial intelligence into your business. That's just a very specific example, but I'll unpack that a little bit in a moment. So that question of do we keep ourselves stuck? Think about what is a current goal that you're working on. Now, what I want you to do is think how your decisions over the course of maybe today, yesterday, or over the last week have allowed this to become a success for you. So let me say that in a different way. Has all of your decisions aligned to making that goal successful? So an example of this might be, okay, let's go dry July, which is what a lot of people here in Australia do. They do dry July. So they say they're not going to drink alcohol for the whole of July. And a lot of people do this as a way just to recalibrate their health, to help give their body a good kickstart. It's a great idea. But what I hear so many times is people declare at the beginning that they're doing dry July. They're so excited, they share it with everybody. But then about 3 days in, they're having a drink. 3 days in, or they go to the bottle shop and they buy themselves a bottle of wine and it's sitting in the back of the fridge. But they go, I won't have it. That'll be my celebration at the end of July. But you know what it's like. That wine is sitting there in the back of the fridge, almost calling out to them. Every time they open that door, it's like, hello, I'm here, come and drink me. So they're looking at a goal that they're wanting to work on, but immediately they've set themselves up to make it really hard. So they're keeping themselves stuck. They want to make sure, they wanted to have this month of no drinking, good health, recalibrating, resetting. But by making the decisions to have that wine in the back of the fridge has made it really hard for them to achieve that, because the temptation is too much. And I've written a lot about willpower, how relying on willpower alone when it comes to what we focus on really does set us up for failure. Willpower is a really hard thing to maintain. There's so many things that challenge us and set us up for distraction when it comes to just willpower. But let's just think about that with dry July, okay? An example of making the decision to go to the bottle shop, buy a bottle of wine, put it in the back of the fridge is a perfect example of keeping ourselves stuck. Now, sometimes what we do is we make decisions like this. People often say it's called self-sabotage. I don't love that term, self-sabotage, because sometimes we do these things without even really consciously thinking about it. Self-sabotage to me is sort of comes with the thought of we do it deliberately to ourselves. And I don't think anyone really wants to make life really hard. But what we do is we don't have the awareness around what we're doing. So using that sort of dry July example is we don't think it through enough to go, if that's in the fridge, then that's going to tempt me to have a drink. Or if dry July is so important to you that that's a really important month for you to recalibrate your health, then don't set up a night out with your mates. Don't set it, because that's going to keep you, it's going to basically make it really hard for you not to drink. It's going to make you rely on willpower. But also what it does is it makes us almost tell ourselves that we can't do it. So it reinforces the belief that, see, I told you couldn't do it. But in fact, we've set ourselves up to fail in that anyway. So keeping ourselves stuck really comes back to the decisions that we make. It's being aware of what we're doing, but also taking that awareness of what we're doing and then saying, okay, am I setting myself up to keep me in this position? So let's give you another example. So one of the things I often hear a lot with people is they want to slow their thinking down. They want to be able to focus more on the things that really matter to them. They're feeling constantly distracted, pulled in every single direction. They don't have time to do the things that really matter to them. Okay, they don't have time, which is what I often hear, to exercise. I don't have time to visit friends. I don't have time to work on, my guitar playing. I don't have time to do all of this. And they want to move forward so much. They want those things to be such an important part of their life, but they're making decisions that are keeping them stuck in their current reality. An example of this would be, that they have the phone next to their bed at nighttime. So they want better sleep. They want to switch off from work, or they want to switch off from social media, but they're keeping themselves stuck by having their phone next to their bed. Think about it, right? Like I want you to just have a little think about how often we do this to ourselves. I want to be more present with my kids. So when you're sitting there at if you're having movie night and your kids have all got the phones with you and your phone's sitting next to you, every time a ding pops up, you're going to look at that. The kids are going to look at their phones. So how can you be fully present with your kids when you've already set it up so that it's going to be really hard for you to achieve that? And what we do is we then keep ourselves stuck in that habit and that cycle of going, well, I'm not present with my kids. And I told myself I wanted to be able to sit and have movie night with them and be really present. But when you look around, everyone's got their phones right next to them. So an easy solution for that is to keep that momentum and keep things moving forward for you and not keep yourself stuck, is to have phones in a different room while you're watching movie night. It sounds so simple, doesn't it? I once had a lady in a workshop come up to me, and I was on one of my rants about smartwatches. I won't get into that in this podcast, but I was on a rant about notifications on smartwatches. And she got quite defensive, right? She got quite defensive about it. But I was also being quite, I guess, didn't have a filter on around my stance on notifications on smartwatches. And she ended up coming up to me later on in the workshop, and she said, do you know what? I've actually decided that I'm going to turn the notifications off on my smartwatch. I hear you. I know what you're saying. When I'm sitting there speaking to someone, a notification pops up on my watch, and so I immediately stop listening and I look at my phone and my watch, and I really don't like when I do that. Now, what was interesting is we had this discussion. I said, good for you. Like, that's such a great, really easy thing to implement. You have the control to do that. You've obviously aware of what you're doing. You've made the next step. Now, what was interesting, day 2 of the workshop, she came up to me and she said, oh, Edge, what I realized overnight is I was very selective in the notifications that I had on my smartwatch. I was a bit selective with what I turned off and what I kept on. And I laughed because she said, I was sort of cheating myself. I wasn't quite ready to turn them all off. I left a few of these notifications on. And so what we ended up doing was having a chat. I had a chat to her about how big it was for her to want to achieve that, to be more present in conversations rather than looking at her watch, because that's what really that was about. Her goal was to be more present when speaking with people rather than being distracted by her watch. She had the intent. She had the awareness. She had the intent. She put some strategies in place. But what would have kept her stuck is by shortchanging herself and keeping on all the notifications, and she would have just stayed in the same spot. She would have given herself that little bit of, dopamine hit, that feel good reward hit about going, good for you, you've turned a few things off. But it wasn't until she woke up and realized that when her husband was talking to her, she looked at a watch. She went, okay, I've shortchanged myself here. So we then could have a discussion around her keeping herself stuck, that she was keeping herself in that same pattern by not doing a little bit more of the harder work, which was turning everything off. And I heard from her a few weeks later, and she was very, very happy to say that all the notifications are off on her smartwatch, because that was a thing for her, and that she's finding that she's not missing it, and that she's more present in conversations. And what could have happened, let's have a look at the alternate scenario to this. She could have given herself a big pat on the back and said, good for you, you've turned off a few things, and just continued with life. But what she did is she realized that her goal wasn't yet met. So there was still something that was keeping her stuck from achieving that goal. And it was something as simple as turning all the notifications off on her smartwatch. That's a really practical example. For you, it could be anything. There is an endless, range of goals that you could be working on. But I want you just to take a moment and think, where am I keeping myself stuck? Where am I keeping myself through the decisions I'm making, through the habits that I'm creating, that is keeping me stuck and not moving me forward? Another example could be, I want to get up earlier. I want to be able to get up and do maybe some meditation in the morning, just 5 or 10 minutes. But when that snooze button, when the alarm goes off, you hit the snooze button and you go back to bed. So that is a perfect example, again, of keeping yourself stuck. You've made the decision, turn off the alarm, hit snooze, and now you've missed the time to do the thing that really matters to you. Now, all of this really has to come back to making sure that the goal that you're working on, the thing that you're trying to focus on, is important enough to you. Because what we often try to do is come up with all these things that we should be doing or we want to be doing in life that aren't really important to us. They're nice things to do, or we heard that it's good for somebody to do, or that, it's all those shoulds, right? We should be doing this, should be doing that. I want you to think about, are you keeping yourself stuck because that goal isn't important enough to you? Okay, that's one question. Are you keeping yourself stuck because that goal isn't important enough to you? Are you keeping yourself stuck because there's something about that goal that scares you? Are you keeping yourself stuck? I'm going to say that again, because there's something about that goal that scares you. That fear is keeping you stuck. So you're making these choices to keep you there. Keep picturing that picture of feet in concrete. Everything else is moving. Everything has the ability to move, but you're keeping your feet stuck there. So is it that the goal isn't important enough? Is that the goal is so scary that something's keeping you stuck? Or is it that you don't know what the next best step is? And I have so many clients that come to me through my focus sessions, and they're just one-off sessions that people go, and this is my goal. We work through some questions. I just need to know what the next step is, because what we know is that an object that's moving will continue to move. okay, until an external force hits it. So what we want is for people not to feel stuck. That sense of inertia of just being in the same place and nothing happening. Something needs to come into your life. A habit needs to change. Something needs to be done differently for you to start moving. Okay, so these focus sessions that I have with people, if you are interested, you can head on over to my website at angelalockwood.com.au/focus. And these sessions could be all you need to help get you moving. It might be a question that I ask. It might be a strategy that we discuss. It might be an aha moment that you have, which will be the force that will get your feet out of the concrete and keep you moving forward. All right. So that could be all you need. But if you're listening to this and you're like, I really want to make change, but I'm not sure what it is. The first thing is for you to have an awareness, okay, of what are the behaviors that you're doing that are keeping you stuck. Is it hitting snooze? Is it that you've got your phone next to your bed? Is it that you're, distracting yourself through doing lots of tasks? Is it that you have a to-do list that's so long that you're never going to get through it? So it's just adding to that constant state of overwhelm. Is it having the drink during dry July? Is it having your yummy chocolates sitting in the fridge when you're really trying to get on top of your health? What is it that's keeping you stuck? That's the first thing. So that's bringing awareness to it. The second part is if you're aware and you're still doing it, catching yourself out in the moment is really important. Being aware in the moment, if you reach for that drink or if you reach for the chocolate or if you hit snooze 3 times or if you, maybe add in a meeting that means that you're working overtime. Okay. Being aware in the moment as well that, hey, you're doing it again is really important. But it's important equally not to put yourself down in that moment, not to go, oh, you idiot, you did it again. See, you always do this stuff. You're such a failure. We don't want those words to come into our thinking. That negative thought patterns will just keep us even more stuck. What we want is to go, hey, you're doing it again. All good. Let's stop it and let's change now. Okay. Or it might be you've done it, you look back and you go, oh, I did it again. Fine. You've got another opportunity to try again. And this continuum of choice is another thing I unpack in The Power of Conscious Choice. This continuum of choice, once we realize that we have the ability to always choose again, then we can have a level of self-compassion that comes into our decision making. So even though we might trip up, even though we might make a decision that isn't in alignment with our goals or isn't helping us focus on what we're wanting to focus on, be kind to yourself. Don't give yourself, a slap around the head and go, you shouldn't have done that. Actually, just take a little bit of self-compassion and go, okay, you've got this, you did it again, but all good. We've got the next time. And then the next time you'll have greater awareness. And that's how you keep moving forward. It's a continuum. It's not about keeping you stuck. And I did touch on this already, but don't just rely on your willpower when it comes to, if you're feeling stuck, relying on willpower alone to help get you out is almost like having 2 forces butting heads against each other. Sometimes we do need a hand up. Sometimes we do need somebody to come and show us how we can take that next step. So reach out to a friend, reach out to your partner, or reach out to a professional that can help you. And again, I mentioned this earlier with my focus sessions. It could be someone like me who would just be the catalyst to help you get moving again. And once moving, my gosh, forces are powerful. But when forces are stuck, we really need to shake things up and get things moving for you. Okay, now, the question was that we talked about at the beginning, do we keep ourselves stuck? Absolutely, we do. We keep ourselves stuck through the choices that we make. We keep ourselves stuck through the thinking that we have. We keep ourselves stuck through thinking that we can do things differently by doing the same thing over and over again. If you want something different to happen in your life, if you want a different, it might even be a different trajectory for you. It might be that you're going along a path, but you don't want to be on that path anymore. You want to shift direction. Then remember, you have the ability to choose what to do next. Okay. You have the ability to keep moving or to get moving. And it doesn't have to be something miraculous. It doesn't have to be something big. Small incremental steps is still movement. So if you're feeling stuck right now, be really kind to yourself and go, okay, I got this. Awareness is the first thing. So give yourself a pat on the back. You're aware of it. You're aware that you're stuck. Now, what do you do next? Is you ask yourself, is that goal big enough for me? Or is it something that's more as important for me? Is it something that I really am aligned to? And if it is, knowing the next best step is a matter of sitting, reviewing, and going, well, what should I do next? Like, what is the thing for me that I need? What is the easiest way for me to get moving? What is the next step to get my ball rolling? And I'll guarantee you, once you start moving, opportunities will appear. Things that you've never seen before will start to show up in your life, and you'll start to get that feeling of momentum and progress. And we all love the feeling of progress. Now, there is a recent ebook that if you're finding social media or your phones are really hard for you at the moment to help you stay focused on your goals, head on over to my website. I've got a free ebook called The Attention Algorithm, and it's at angelalockwood.com.au/attention, and you can download that for free, and it's got really great strategies on there and helping you to bring awareness to some of your behaviors around technology use and how you can shape the technology that's around you to help you move closer towards your goals. And there might be some really great ideas in there to help you get moving. So, do we keep ourselves stuck? Yeah, we do. But the great thing is that we have the ability to get moving. We know what we've got to do. Look for support if you need it. But if anything has resonated for you on here, or you know that somebody's stuck and really struggling, share this episode with them, email it to them. It could be the one thing that gets them moving. And what a special gift. But until next time, thanks so much for joining me. I'm Angela Lockwood. You've been listening to me here on Distracted. And today it was all about, do we keep ourselves stuck and how do we get moving? All right, everyone, until next time, enjoy. And I can't wait to hear what your next best step is. Thanks, everyone.